Hey everyone, today's video is going to be how to replace your alternator in a 2007 Kia Optima EX with a 2.7 liter V6. Now if I'm not mistaken, I think this will be from 2005 to 2010, or maybe 2006 to 2010. It'll work on all those years, same model. I would guess probably every vehicle that has a 2.7 liter, freaking airplane, that has a 2.7 liter, it'd be the same for, and your alternator would be down there. I already went ahead, loosened up and took out the 6 bolts that hold on the engine cover. I've only seen one other video of somebody doing this, and they took off the hose, the coolant hose, and the fans and everything to get to it. I'm gonna try not to, but there's no room, so I'm probably going to have to take out something. So we'll see. I'll pick this up again in a minute when I get a little farther. Got a little farther in it. Went ahead, took off this intake pipe. Has two screws, bolts, whatever, holding it on. And then the fan shroud and everything. It has another 2, one here and one right there. And then in the bottom, on the bottom, right here, or no, I think it's right here, and right here, somewhere right around there, I think it's this, there's a clip that's down in the bottom. There's a clip right here, if you can see that, and then there's the other one. That one's easier to see, that clip. And then here's the 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 go inside. And that was to get all that out. Now we have some room to work. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the alternator. Also, don't forget when you're taking the fan out to unplug the fan. You just push the clip in right here. I broke it because everything is so brittle on this car, from the heat and wear and tear, and at the end of the day it is a Kia. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect everything for the alternator and probably pop off the belt, so that way I can take the alternator out once I get the bolts out that are holding it. Everything to this point has been a 10mm. All these for the engine cover, and then to hold the fan and intake on, all the bolts have been 10mm bolts. Pretty simple. Getting a little farther in it. Went ahead, disconnected this. I don't really know if I needed a disconnector or not. Unhooked the wire off of the alternator. It was a pain, but not too bad. It's right here, and it has a little boot on it. It's a 10mm nut. I mean, not 10mm. It's a 1/2 inch nut. Everything else was 10mm. That's a 1/2 inch nut. And then I have, I don't know what the size is on there. I can't see it right now, but I have it on the tensioner, the belt tensioner. And what you do is you just lift up, and you see how it loosens up the pulley. And then once you lift it enough, I'm going to need 2 hands, but once you lift it enough, you'll be able to take the belt off of the alternator down there, and you should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Also, before you start messing around with the alternator, don't forget to disconnect the battery. I forgot to mention that. You're going to want to do that. And I still got to get this one out. I can't get it out, so I'm going to try to get the alternator out and then unplug it with it facing up so I can see it better. Little update. Had to go ahead and take off this pulley that sits down there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me try to get the light from my phone. Okay, it goes right down there. And the reason why I had to take it off, here, it's easier to see from here. I'm trying to hold my phone and the GoPro, sorry. Alright, it bolts in right here, if you can see that. And the reason why I had to unbolt it is because this bolt right here is for the bottom bolt of the alternator. It was hitting coming out, it was touching the pulley, and I couldn't get any tools on it anyways. So the one ratcheting wrench that I put on it, I couldn't get off because it had backed all the way out to the pulley. So I just went ahead and took that that pulley off, and it was, I think, a 14mm. See that bolt right down there? That's for the lower bolt of the alternator. It will not come out all the way. I was reading up on it, and people were saying to take the motor mount off and lower the motor down a few inches. I'm not trying to do all that. I put the other bolt, the top bolt, up to measure it, and I don't think it's stuck inside. I think it's just on the part of the alternator. It's just hard to free the alternator because it's so jammed in there. I had to take off the bracket that goes right here, that is in between the alternator top bolt. That bracket, there's 3 bolts in there. I had to take that off. It's sitting right down here. So I just sprayed some penetrating oil down there, trying to get it to loosen up a little bit. I'm going to keep trying to pull out the old alternator. All these lines are disconnected all the way around. There's this little bracket that has 1 bolt. I think it's a 8 or 9mm, I can't remember, that holds it onto the side of the alternator. I disconnected that to give me more wiggle room for the alternator. Still working at it. You also, to take off that bracket, you have to disconnect the dipstick. This is the bracket that holds the dipstick on. Finally! There's that bottom bolt. Got it out. What I did was, I took my pliers, held the end of the bolt, pulling on it tight, outward. And then with my right hand, I grabbed this and just kept pulling on it, and sure enough, it pulled right out. Here's a new remand one, the little chart saying that they tested it and it passed. So we're gonna go ahead, throw this new one in there. Make sure you put it in the right way, same way that you took out the old one. So this bracket is gonna be the bottom one, because here's the clip. Back at it again, day 2. Got it stuck in there, the alternator in there now. I went ahead and took the bolt and just put it in like that, made sure it wasn't coming out, and then I put the alternator in. And also, it seems like on that side, in between these two, there's not enough room. I mean, I was wiggling, hitting it with the rubber mallet, nothing. So what I did was, I went ahead and took my angle grinder and put the sander attachment on it, and just lightly sanded this down just a little bit. That was enough with semi-penetrating oil to get it pushed on there. Now I'm tightening up that bottom bolt, and then I'm going to put the bracket on for this top one, and then I'll hook that up. Got the alternator in there perfect. Got both top and bottom bolts bolted up. I got the one plug that goes underneath to something plugged in. I got this plug plugged back in. I got the plug that's down here in the back of the alternator plugged in. All I gotta do is hook up this to the back of the alternator. I already took off the nut, and then there's this bracket that goes right here. I'm gonna put that bracket on, and then this connects back to here, and then this one connects down here. There's a little hole down underneath here that the bolt goes in to hold it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those two on, hook up that one, and then also the idler pulley that I took off, it's gonna go back on down there. And the 3 bolts that hold this on, I think I said before, is a 1/2 inch. It's actually technically 12mm, but a 1/2 inch will work. It's just a little big, so just be careful if you do use a 1/2 inch. And then this top one was the same way. I went ahead and took this sanding disc and just hand sanded it a little bit, and then I had a bead on it a little bit to get it in there. It's just such a tight fit, but I got it. Alright, got everything buttoned up. Everything's good. Just hooked up the hose. The belt's on correctly. I looked up online for a diagram to figure out which one it was for, to make sure I had it on right. Now I'm just gonna slip in the fan and everything. And I think that's it. Just double check, triple check, make sure you have everything connected, everything's good. All my connections are connected, I don't have nothing loose, no bolts or anything besides the ones I gotta put on for the cover and the fan. Okay, I had already had the coolant hose on the radiator, but I couldn't get the fan in, so I had to take that back off and bend it back like that so I could get the radiator, so I could get the fan down in place. With that hose in there, it's just in the way, and obviously you got to hook it up on top, so I just went ahead and bent it back out of the way. Got the 2 bolts in, one right there, one right there. You got to push it down into the clips there so it snaps in. Now I'm going to go ahead and hook the hose back up and hook on the intake piping that goes from here to there, all 10mm, and then I'll hook that hose back up, and after that it's just the 6 bolts for that. Okay, I got everything connected to the car, got all the bolts tightened back up, put the hose back on like I said, connected the battery. Now it's time to take this little key and see if it did the trick. Cross your fingers. No battery light. That is a plus, that there's no battery light on. That was the problem that we were having, was the battery light was on. And it would go off as she was accelerating. But then as soon as she stopped accelerating, the battery light would come back on. Then again, it kept doing it. We already replaced the belt within the past 6 months. So I knew it wasn't the belt. The battery is like 6 months old. So I was going on, it was probably the alternator, and that's why I replaced it. So it seems to have done the trick. I'm gonna let it run for a minute. Make sure you check your belt. Make sure that's on properly. Everything's working. Alright, as you've seen, started up. Belt looks okay. Checked it all out with the light and everything. I'm gonna go ahead and move the Mustang, take it for a little drive, check on it, make sure everything's okay. Other than that, seems like it's pretty good. That's how to replace your alternator in a 2007 Kia Optima with a 2.7 liter V6. Thanks for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up. Till next time, peace.